Hi. Happy Monday. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. And I hope you're ready to face the week. Before I go down my Motivation Monday rabbit hole, welcome to another episode of Popcorn Fodder. This week we are talking about a movie called I Am Not a Serial Killer. Very interesting, and I think you'll enjoy this week's episode. As much as we're discussing a serial killer, I think my brother and I have a lot more fun with this episode. And I think at this point in our movie marathon, we had reached a certain level of delirium. But have fun with us, sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode. This week, the series recommendation will be in the outro. So stick around if you would like to hear what series I would recommend for you. Alrighty, goodbye. Oh, not goodbye, but, see you on the other side. All right. So, this episode's movie, film, biopic. No, that's not a biopic. But Bioscope is I'm Not a Serial Killer. So, Mahal, correct me if I'm wrong. This movie came out in 2015?
Let me check out. I believe it did, Lebo.
A long story short, it came out a long time ago. So, for a brief synopsis, this movie came out a long time ago. So the effects and stuff, the visuals aren't giving what one has become accustomed to. But 2016.
Yes.
Okay, but if you were back in 2016, you'd still think the visuals were terrible. Anyway. No, I'm joking.
Which one? The back then or today?
Both. No. What I am saying is that it was giving, that place on YouTube where you can watch short films, Omeletto.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was giving Omeletto vibes.
But extended cut.
And whoever made the movie borrowed the film equipment. Because those Omeletto movies sometimes have some recognizable faces where you're just like, how did this guy get here?
True.
But yeah, okay. All shade and tea and jokes aside, the movie obviously, the movie is called I'm Not a Serial Killer, and it basically follows this young man who has become aware of the fact that he has all the telltale traits of a psychopathic serial killer. He wets the bed, he kills animals, and obviously he's in his own head, so he knows that he be out here thinking about slicing the neighbor in half, that the girl next door would probably taste great with some hot sauce and some acha and, a nice little guinya there. But because he doesn't want to become a serial killer, because, he's very much aware of the rules of society and how becoming a serial killer isn't as cool as everyone makes it seem, he has his own little strategies that he deploys to sort of, stay away and to fight the urges that he has. So he befriends this one guy who's, a chubby guy who seems a little nerdy, and he befriends that guy for the purpose of, remaining normal, right? By mimicking whatever this guy gets up to, he can have a normal life. He compliments people that he feels a strong desire to murder. And in this case, obviously, it's a high school child. So he's being bullied. He lives in a small town. Kids, obviously, can be dicks. So, yeah, there are many opportunities for him to be handing out compliments. So, yeah, basically, that's the vibe. And he's talking to his therapist. Lo and behold, the therapist is having more than just feedback sessions with the mom. But then a serial killer comes to town, and he uses, his, I guess, quote unquote, superpower to try and get into the mind of the serial killer to understand why they do what they do and to figure out who the serial killer is. Now, had the movie stayed on that track, we'd be very happy. I'd be so happy.
Would be.
I would be over the moon. I'd be twerking right now, actually. But instead, the movie took a really interesting path. And luckily, a nice part in the movie, and why I'm saying it's giving Omelette a realness, is that no one else in the movie was recognizable but the serial killer. The serial killer was the guy from Back to the Future. And if you've listened to previous episodes, you know I can only remember one thing: the name of the movie or the actor. But what I will say, it's not the kid, it's the scientist guy who made the car for Back to the Future, the old guy. And much like Morgan Freeman, he's always been old.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
This is relatively... Wait, when was Back to the Future made?
Either way, it was a long time ago. It was before. And let's discuss the fact that the Back to the Future was made long before this movie. And I'm telling you now, the visuals for Back to the Future, better than this movie.
Okay, let's not say that bad. Maybe it's nostalgia.
Maybe.
Because the movie was made in 1985.
I haven't seen Back to the Future.
I have.
Shout out to you. But the few little snippets that I see, because people be obsessed with things, much like Harry Potter.
Okay, that's not an obsession, that's a cult.
It really is a cult. The way these Harry Potter people be like, oh, you've never read the books, you've never seen the movie.
I saw the synopsis, it was enough for me.
I've not even seen the synopsis. You grow up around these cult members for so long, you kind of know everything that it's about. You get what I mean? The same way people who never grew up going to church know John 3 verse 16, or just like know some basic things. They know about Jesus and Mary and Joseph, and they've got the spark notes because the fellow Christians around them won't shut up about it. Do you feel me? And I think that's sort of my relationship with Star Wars, Harry Potter,
Back to the
Future, and the like. Anyway, where was I with this? Anyway, it's that guy, the scientist.
Yes, it is.
So, turns out he's the serial killer. That time we find out when we think he's about to get murdered by some really dodgy looking individual, only to find that the dodgy individual was going to stab him.
So he was dodgy for the right reason.
He was, in fact, dodgy. But he wasn't the serial killer. He was just going to stab a good old, stabbing for a mugging type vibe. But then you find out that there's like this creature living inside him, and that is the creature that needs those things, and that maybe the fact that the creature lives inside this old man, that the creature's kind of making the old man's body deteriorate at a fast rate. So he keeps having to kill people to replace organs and body parts so that he can keep this shell moving for the creature / alien that lives inside him. It gets very weird. Eventually, the boy tries to stop the serial killer, tries calling the police get killed, tries to talk to the wife, almost ends up murdering the wife, and that gets awkward. But then he leaves a note on the guy's car, and the guy then tries to stop murdering for some time.
Didn't he do that before he...
Yeah, I'm not saying any of this in order. I
Oh,
guess you will be surprised should you decide to watch the movie. You'll be surprised by the order of events. But the point is all these things are happening. The psychologist ends up getting murdered in retaliation. Like all these things are happening and eventually they manage to all the monster tries to kidnap the mom. Then the young boy goes to save the mom and then,
by the way, they work at a morgue, which I mean, their business was never slowing.
Yeah, yeah. So that is another thing. His mom is a mortician, and obviously, having a serial killer in town means that business is booming because they were about to close down. So it is a
True.
bit of a catch-22. You know what I mean? Help your mom's business, catch a killer. Tough decisions. But yeah, they end up, killing the guy, and they do so by draining the blood slash sludge out of his body and replacing it with embalming fluid. And while they're pouring sort of the sludge that came out of this man's body into the drain, the sludge ends up reassembling itself into the shape of something, I guess. um
Something that shouldn't fit proportionally wise
yeah,
into such a person.
yeah.
Like I know that man is 6 foot, but that thing was 8.
Yes. Um, yeah, and then the monster, I guess, begs the child to kill him. I don't know what happens at the end. The end really confused. I don't know whether they kill him on purpose or whatever.
No, he kills himself because, like, out of sorrow or something like that, and he tells the kid
To
that,
take
like,
care of his wife.
yeah, take care of his
Yeah.
wife because that's the only person he actually, like, that's the only heart he's loved or something like that. And that's why he kept on killing to stay alive in the
For
body
her?
for her.
Wild.
But then because the body that he was living in is now, like,
Past its expiration date.
bruh, he can't go back into it, so he just accepted death. So that's what I remember about the end. They're like, yeah. So, granted, very, yeah, the roller coaster from to get there does not make sense. There's a lot of things that. Also, why would you listen to a kid that tells you, oh, the body that has the heart that you need, we kept it right here? You're like, he's been trying to kill you for a while now, so obviously he's lying, but I'm sure, I guess you're desperate for an organ. But yeah, anyway, there's just so many confusing moments. I did like it, in a very general sense of like, ooh, the killer isn't a normal killer. It's some weird thing. But then it's it got very old very quick. You know, it was a nice twist in the beginning, and maybe it was like, oh, maybe the kid was like seeing things, but then it just kept on repeating. It's like, okay, so the killer, the story about a kid holding back his thoughts of like murder and all that, and all turned out into a movie about catching an alien, killing people. And so the alien is technically a serial killer because he's in the body of a human, but like he's still an alien. So like it's what?
But then how did he find him? Because the premise of the movie is that because this boy is also a psychopath, that he can get into the mind of another psychopath. But if this alien is just trying to survive,
That's not a psychopath.
then it's not a psychopath. So how did you get into the mind of the psychopath? Because you being a psychopath, you can't empathize with people. So you wouldn't be able to empathize with a fictitious being that is just trying to eat. Do you feel me?
Sure.
And I'm not sure if psychopaths can't empathize. But still.
But at the same time, like I did understand the whole Dave's the man of a psychopath and him matching up with the alien because of the fact that the alien was just doing what it needed to do to survive, and technically that would like make it an urge. But like it can't necessarily just stop doing this thing or he dies. So he has to do it. So it's something that like his body forces itself
Like a
to
compulsion of sorts.
do. So I can understand that aspect of like getting into the mind of a sociopath or whatever. But like the empathy at the end, I can understand it for the mom, I guess, But at the same time, he's been very distant the entire movie towards the mother.
He low-key tried to kill the mom.
Dude. And
2 minutes before this guy came in.
And even told her in the car that, like, oh, yeah, no, I went to the restaurant that you were having dinner with my therapist. I didn't come there to check up on you and make sure that you're okay. I literally do not care if the murderer gets you. I was here for someone else that I thought was the murderer. And he said that to the mom.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I don't know, the words that are coming out of your mouth.
Maybe the alien cured him.
So you're going to say that people's psychological issues need extraterrestrial help?
Who knows?
I mean, if they have it.
What if they're so advanced, they're like, look at these idiots.
We can fix your neurons right
Getting
now.
anxious and shit. I don't know.
Just walking around with anxiety.
Look. It's not going to make eye contact. It's not going to make eye contact. Why? Anxiety. You know? Look at them. They can't even function. Look. It needs a doctor. It's not going to make a call. Why? It's afraid someone will answer. What do you think happens when you call? Anyway. So
That's a little personal.
No. I mean personal in the sense that I have anxiety, yes. And if there's an alien force out there that has figured all mental ailments, they figured it all out. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's fair.
Like, what's the perfect ratio of magnesium, essential oil, and yoga?
3.
What's that golden balance that you need to maintain for you to unlock your third eye and be free of all of this stuff? I don't know. They've probably got it down to a science. You know what? Call back to the previous movie we watched. Maybe pod babies don't have anxiety.
I mean, they don't have dreams. You don't have nightmares. So I guess
There's nothing to worry about because you don't have an imagination.
Exactly.
So the little what-if monster that exists with anxiety, they don't have it.
Eradicated.
Free of it entirely. You know what?
But then raises the question.
We need to revisit that pod movie episode. Say our final thoughts because I'm seeing it now. Anyway.
But that raises the question: if those pod babies have to have a baby, will that naturally? Will that baby also not have dreams?
What? If they were to have a natural, would they be able to?
True.
Because, remember, there's a business behind this thing. And the business wants you to be dependent on them. That's how they keep making money.
And they do say that, like, you don't need a man for you. We just need an egg cell and a piece of your skin. So, and honestly...
Yes, but what I'm saying is, what if, because they just need skin, they're going to make all the egg babies become infertile. So the only way to have a baby is to get pieces of skin and to have a pod baby. Because you can't use skin cells to make a normal womb pregnant.
Wait, but didn't they still need her egg?
Well, who says they can't make it with 2 skin cells? Well, if they said, right?
Yeah.
One person's skin cell and another person's skin cell. Why not make... If they can make a sperm out of a skin cell, why can't they make an egg out of a skin cell? Also, this is the serial killer episode. So, as collabo. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Final thoughts.
The movie... I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5. I know it's a harsh score. It's only getting a 2 because it wasn't scary like a horror.
True.
It wasn't suspenseful like maybe a crime detective thriller type situation. There's nothing to guess here. It's just one weird thing after another. And there's really no one in their right mind would have guessed such things. You know what I mean?
Because, yeah, you were all guessing the guy in the blue jacket with the yellow hat that, like, was going to murder the old guy. And
sure,
then,
but that's what the child's guessing. And we're just following this child around, really. That's what the movie is. And I guess because it is from the perspective of a child, it's very haphazard and all over the place. And that's fine. But for me, it's a 2 out of 5. You can give it whatever score you want. For me, it wasn't scary. It wasn't suspenseful. It wasn't anything really that I would find, super interesting. I think that it was an interesting take, But I've seen many series and shows where, you're using criminals to catch criminals type vibe. Because it's that
Minds.
logic, basically. No, not Criminal Minds.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking
Like
of
The
Blacklist.
Mentalist.
Oh.
Blacklist, yeah. Whatever. But, so that concept isn't very new. And I'm not saying that every movie that comes out must be groundbreaking and reinvent the wheel or whatever. But, I don't know. I don't even think that it was a basic story told well,
Sure.
It was an unnecessarily complicated story told poorly. For me. But still, there were certain elements of it that were interesting and enjoyable. And the fact that maybe serial killers or sociopaths can be redeemed, I don't know. But yeah, that's why it's not getting a 0 or a 1. It's getting a 2. So I think that's very generous. Okay. Thank you. That's everything from me. Memorable moment, the end.
The pure frustration.
I'm not frustrated. It's the truth. It was very memorable to me how everything ended. Yeah.
Okay.
There wasn't an end credit scene, to my surprise.
It was 2016. The end credit scenes became popular in 2018. Isn't it?
I'm not saying that there should have been an end credit scene. I'm just saying, considering everything else that happened in the movie, an end credit scene wouldn't have surprised me at that point. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Where the monster is now coming up the drains and some child who's drinking some water from a fountain in a public park now is going around,
Oh, yeah, we did
shooting tree branches out of their arms, which we never see again, mind you. Anyway.
I mean, we did point out that was a weird thing that they didn't collect the blood.
Oh. And yes, there's oily stuff on the scene. This guy isn't filled with an oil monster. It's black sludge, fam. Why isn't there black sludge on the scenes? If he uses...
There is. But they say it's an oily substance.
No, but even when they show the floor, when they're like, there's oil, it looks like cooking oil.
Oh.
Anyway, that's neither here. I said I'm done and I'm done. What were your score and your memorable moment?
My score is a generous, loving, caring, considerate of the times. 2.5.
Wow, Mahal.
What? It was a boring movie.
You're just trying to get to heaven before me.
Yes.
2.5. I don't care. If y'all bitches are getting in first, I'd rather wait outside.
Wow. The hate is real.
Memorable moment.
In the
Mahal.
studio. In the studio.
Memorable moment.
I hope this is being documented well.
It is.
Oh.
I'm like the fucking monster. Mahal.
What?
Memorable moment.
Oh, right. What 2.5 rating? Yeah, I rated 2.5. It had a plot in the beginning and then it had thoughts and prayers at the end.
Yes.
So that's fun. The memorable moment, I guess, to me was just the confusion as to what was the plan with the old lady when he snuck into her house and then took off the pillow cover and then put it on her head like a crown, but then keeps on trying to pull it
just like, keep quiet, don't move.
And then she woke up and she's just wiggling. And he's like, keep quiet, don't move. And it smacks her with an alarm. And that just knocks her out.
And then the alarm starts ringing. And then later on in the movie, she has PTSD about her alarm. No, but you know what actually is? He's just like, oh, really?
Oh, that's so sad.
Is that when he... Why? Oh, the guy who broke in. Oh.
That's so sad. So,
another thing.
yeah?
Side note.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Lily?
Wow, remember that part? Remember that part?
Mm-hmm.
And the whole segment with the sister and the sister's love life. Why was that necessary?
I do not.
How did that add to the story in any way, shape, or form?
Because it's not even referenced afterwards. After she arrives.
After she arrives and she's just like, I might need you to step in to save me.
He was there and all of y'all were quiet. He left and nothing happened.
This is what I'm saying. Anyway, all right then. Thank you for, watching this episode with me. I appreciate it. And yeah, what do you think is next on our list? What should we watch next?
What is that movie? I believe it's something about cakes and bars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen the trailer and I have some hopes for the end.
What hopes?
I don't know. I want to know how things end up with one of the characters. You know what I mean? I have a desired ending in mind, but we'll see if that happens.
Is it similar to...
Stay tuned. Mm-hmm. And let's see if, I don't know, something with cakes and bars ends like Lion King 1 or Lion King 2. Alrighty. Bye. See, I told you this week's episode was fun. So, tell me, what did you think? Do you like horror movies? Do you like serial killer type, cat and mouse, movies where there's a bit of a chase? And just when you think the good guy has won, the bad guy, clutches victory from the jaws of defeat. What, do you enjoy these type of storylines, I guess? And did you like the monster element of the story? Did it make sense to you? Because it definitely baffled my brother and I. Anyway, this week's show recommendation is, I don't know, I'd say a good show that I really enjoyed because it was really good acting, and it's an HBO show called The Night Of, a story of a young man who finds himself in a really awkward situation and is arrested and accused of a murder. And the story kind of follows this boy's story and how he, finds himself in this situation. And you obviously start off the show thinking that he's innocent. But as time goes on, you find that, there's a lot more to this boy than you... Oh, I keep saying boy, only because, he's really young and he's depicted as really young, but he's a man. But this young man's, life is a lot more colorful than you might have originally thought. And in the end, you kind of walk away not thinking that he's that innocent anymore, and it becomes hard for you to root for him. And I think that the show in and of itself was a great story, right? And speaking of family and what it means to adapt to a hostile environment, but I think it also speaks to how people see prisoners and how dehumanizing the whole penitentiary system is, and how, as much as it is meant as a corrective means, how it basically just ends up becoming, a crime university where you might have gone in for a relatively petty crime, but you end up exiting, a hardened criminal with now, more skills and connections in the crime world than you did coming in. And it's not something that happens intentionally, right? It's something that just by virtue of needing to survive, it's either you find yourself in solitary confinement in, the clinic, or dead if you don't adapt, and that there aren't any programs or systems in place to create functioning members of society. But that also as a society, we see prison as just a place to sort of throw people away, and that there is no appetite for recovery. There's no will to invest in these people who are now incarcerated. They somehow are no longer worthy of our care and compassion, and it shows. It really does show. So yeah, I think that was a very interesting element of the show that was portrayed so eloquently. It wasn't, thrown in your face like, do you see this point that I made? You see this point that I made? But it just became, one thread in a sort of tapestry that was beautifully woven, and each individual thread worked towards creating this beautiful piece. But there was more to the story than just society and, the social ills and the socioeconomic conversation, right? But that also this young man was brown, in America, which obviously is a crime in and of itself. And there are just so many elements to this that work against him, that whether he is or isn't innocent doesn't really matter, in the end. But yeah, that's a show that I'd recommend if you haven't seen it. And if you have, by all means, comment. What did you think of the show? And yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye.